it feels exactly the same as last year. I mean, last year I was a freshman, and the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of the year last year was really tough just because it was like I don't know anybody at this school.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have friends, but it feels last year and this year feels exactly the same, other than seeing these short little kids walking around. That's about the only change that I can tell.
Nice. What about your mindset, like this year compared to last year? Are you more like prepared for what you're going through? Are you,
I think
is there a mindset shift that you've gone through from one year to the next?
I'm a lot more calm and ready for this year. Last year I was kind of frantic and freaking out about, oh, I'm starting high school. Oh, this is when college start looking at my grades. This year I'm just like how I was second semester last year, where I'm more calm. And of course I'm still caring about my grades, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just more calm, and I'm not frantically running around the school class to class. I'm kind of just taking my time.
Nice. All right. Well, before we dive into today's topic, so today's podcast, we're really going to be focusing on how to have a great start to a brand new school year. And we're hopefully going to cover college and high school. Obviously, we're going to be a little bit more focused towards high school since this guy right here. But before we dive into our actual content, I wanted to take a minute to discuss some potential errors that we may have made last week, because as any of us, as we're expressing something that we're passionate about, we can get caught up thinking that we're completely right in what we're talking about. So like last week we were talking about introverts versus extroverts, and we made this argument that there most likely wouldn't be introvert teachers. And somebody pointed out that that was extremely incorrect, and made me realize, like, if you look at our own head pastor at our church, he is the definition of an introvert. So yeah, that was a huge error I made on my end last week. But other than that, didn't see too many other errors that stuck out. But one cool thing that I've noticed just within my own way of thinking, just since we started the podcast last week, I've been trying more and more to find like good topics to talk about or good ideas that we can share with people. So that's been a cool change since the podcast started. But yeah, I think the main focus that we're going to have today is how to have a good start to a new year. So we took the ideas that we were discussing and we decided to start a couple weeks out before school began. Now, this would have been nice a month ago for people to have to listen to, but hopefully this podcast will stand the test of time, and maybe people can go back next year and look back on it. So the first little bullet point that we chose for a couple weeks out before school gets back in is picking your style. Picking your style of clothes, deciding who you're going to role model after. So, Tyler, my question for you when it came to picking your style this year, how did you choose it? And yeah, basically, how'd you choose it?
Dude, it took forever. I mean, we went shopping one day, and I was just kind of, I don't know, going through Instagram, all these like different men's fashion things. And I'm like, I don't know but the backpack was part of it. I'm like, I don't know what backpack I want.
Right? It's like, you're going to be rocking this thing all year. You got to make sure it's styling.
Yeah, exactly. Last week we talked about how I wore the pink shirt on the first day of school. And I don't know if you noticed, but I'm wearing the pink shirt, the salmon shirt. That was kind of I was going with more of the pastel, light colors kind of thing.
I was like, that's pink? Like, I can't. Well, dude, I'm partially colorblind.
Yeah.
I can barely tell. It looks white to me.
Oh,
nice.
Camera with my foot.
Oh, you're funny. Nice. All right. So just checking out some, did you say like men's style?
Men's fashion.
Dude, the
Instagram.
first time I ever went to go get my hair cut, like after I got out of high school, I walked in with like a picture of Brad Pitt and I'm like, make me look like this. Like that was my way of getting a good haircut. But okay, so I think like when it came for me, I'm trying to remember like the last time that I had to go shopping for school and trying to pick my style. Mine was always trying to just pick something that didn't make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because being bullied, it's like I had to try and pick shirts that obviously made me not feel like I was fat. I had to try and pick some, because I hung out with the skater kids. So I was fat, but trying to wear skinny jeans. So it didn't really work. It was it never really fit. So I know that when people go to like choosing what makes them feel confident, that's probably a good way to go. It's like, pick a style that makes you feel comfortable within your skin, And yeah, that's just a little tip I would have for that, is just pick something that makes you feel comfortable. Then next thing we have for a little bullet point was just getting all your materials ready. This is simple. Everybody knows this. You got to get your stuff ready to have a good productive year. But adjusting your sleep schedule. If you haven't adjusted your schedule yet 2 weeks in, you're probably struggling tremendously by now.
Yeah.
So even as a tip for right now, if you're not on a good sleep schedule, you're going to jack yourself up. So some people need 6, some people need 8. I'd recommend just getting 8 and figure out a way to adjust your sleep schedule. What do you find keeps you up at night the most? What do you have a hard time like letting go of to get to sleep?
So I don't even know. Sleep is my thing. I love sleep. I'm not a morning person. I'm not a night person.
Okay.
I'm just kind of like, if you wake me up, you're gonna get something thrown at you.
Oh, that's too funny.
I don't know. I don't find myself staying up late just.
See, I'm the opposite. I don't even have to get up early for school. I got to get up early for work. Yeah. And for me, I always have, if I find myself like on my phone while I'm heading to bed, like if I'm stuck on YouTube or on Facebook, just going through the story or whatever, if I'm walking to bed on my phone and I'm still on it, it's probably going to be another hour before I put it down. Like, it's so hard for me to shut off. Once I'm already in bed on my phone, it's just bad news from there. I've been trying to come up with like a good routine because I don't have a TV in my room. So my routine is I will try like to throw a Netflix show on my phone before I even walk into my room. Because if I go in my room while still on my phone, things just don't work out well. So yeah, good recommendation is like, so I start my morning routine off the same way every single day. My alarm goes off, I make my coffee, I grab my journal, and I write in my journal while I play catch with my dogs. And I try and have that kind of same wind down routine at night. So I don't know, if you don't have a good schedule when it comes to waking up and going to bed, like if you don't have a strict routine, that's probably something to work out. And then let's see, what else do we have on? A couple weeks before out. Ooh, finding your classmates, basically for college students. Okay, so let's try and touch on college. So if you've got friends that live around you, your best bet would try and be to find somebody to carpool with to go to and from college if you're not on campus. And another thing, if you don't have friends that are going to that same campus to get classes with, you could always go online and try and find somebody to carpool with. I guarantee that there's probably apps that you could literally sign up to have like a carpool buddy.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, for any of you out there that are starting college, and if you're stressed about spending that much money on gas multiple times a week, look and see if there's apps, look and see if there's some sort of like an online bulletin board for your school to see if there's people to carpool with, because I could save a bunch of money and you could build a new relationship with somebody. So that's a huge little tip right there. And then, so when it comes to high school though, finding your classmates, do you think that could be like a good way to like decrease stress going into the year if you like hit up people throughout summer and try and find classmates?
Yeah. So what we do is, like, people will post in their Instagram story their schedule and they'll go, does anybody have class with me? I don't really do that because I don't necessarily care who's in my classes. But so there's people do that, and then you know who's in your classes. You'll know who's of your followers who's in your classes, or of the people who respond who are in your classes. I think knowing someone in your class, like especially your first period, if you're in high school, your first period, knowing someone in that class is important, because then you're not starting your day off bad. Because I know if I find myself starting my day off down, my entire day is ruined after that. I can't build my day back up after my entire day is ruined. So if there's someone that you know in your first period that you can talk to, of course, when the teacher's not talking, and like they're your friend, your day, at least my day, it's not bad the rest of the day. It starts out good, it ends good.
I like that. Nice. End of summer camp and preparing for new sports season. So for those, like, I remember when I was in high school, I had friends that were on the football team, and they would take like half their summer doing camp and all that.
Our entire summer is football season.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. So for students that have like obviously your summer to prep for all those sports things, I think it's really good for especially for those individuals, for those kids to really like using that group of individuals to help like mold that new schedule. Because I know that obviously getting out of school, going into that whole summer with doing sports, it can be hard to go from school to sports back to school. So I don't know, using that group of individuals to really like communicate with each other how to get that like preparation for the new year, I think that's also good as well.
Yeah.
Mindset of going back to high school and college. So how was your self-talk, your mindset, like the weeks leading up for school?
I'm just really disappointed that I have to go back to school. In all honesty, like we had an extra week, like I told you last week, we had an extra week of summer because of the fire. And that first week leading up to it, I did not want to go back to school. There was like, and then sitting at home for 3 weeks in a row watching Netflix, it got kind of old. So I was like, oh, well, school will be a change of pace. It'll just be a change, right?
Yeah.
It'll be something new in my day other than sitting here watching The Office or something. Other than that, I was not too excited to go back to school. Waking up early, I don't know. I was kind of just, I was bullying myself before someone else has given me the chance. I wasn't excited to go back to school because of the people there and because of the people who I cut out of my life. Like I said last week, I took my friend group from like 400 friends to like 4 in the span of one summer. So
Gotcha. Yeah, that was my like curiosity when it comes to like getting back into that routine of going to school. Like I think that a lot of individuals will bully themselves before they even give people a chance to bully them. Because at least I know that everybody's high school or college experience is unique for themselves. But for me, my number one thing was just interacting with people with the fear of getting bullied. So like those couple weeks before going back to school was always I was just in a self-destructive cycle before the first day even began.
Yeah.
So I think if that preparation, if you can plan those couple weeks before going back to school, like preparing yourself mentally by having that positive self-talk, I think it can really increase your chance of enjoying at least your first day back or first couple weeks back. So some of the common worries or fears that people have before they go back to school, like what do you think some of the major worries for high schoolers would be? Or at least did you have any worries before going back to sophomore year? Any like big concerns?
just mainly like what's it gonna be this year? Like what's the one main thing that I'm gonna be made fun of this year? I don't remember what it was last year because it probably wasn't that big of a thing. But I was worried about what's it gonna be this year, and mainly how am I going to look in the eyes of my teachers? Are my teachers going to like me? And how am I going to look in the eyes of my peers? Are they going to like me? Or are they going to hate me? Kind of thing.
Okay, I'm like, because I looked online to see like what are some of these like major worries that people have going back to school, and like for college students, some of the main worries that I picked up online and saw was like one of the first ones, like I said, how am I going to afford gas? How am I going to afford to travel to and from school every day? I gave a couple pointers earlier to get online, find a group of individuals that you can carpool with, so on and so forth. Another one was, am I going to be able to do this alone? People were worried that going to college, it feels as though it's like they're completely by themselves, that they're isolated. They don't have a group of individuals to really experience it with them.
I'm not there yet, and I'm already worried about that.
And well, dude, some of the main tips that I am not in college, but from my outside perspective, you're not alone in college. You're literally in class with people, and I think it's your responsibility and it's almost your opportunity when you're in college to develop friendships with those around you. And not to mention develop relationships with your professors, with your teachers. Now, in high school, it wasn't cool to be friends with the teacher. if you're in college, that's probably your best bet to securing success is become friends with the people who are actually teaching you. Because whether you like it or not, they know more about the subject, and they're probably willing to teach those that actually show a consideration or a care for it. Another one is, how am I ever going to be able to pay my debt back? Dude, my sister is struggling with her college debt. Like, seeing the weight that has been put on her shoulders just by her trying to go out and literally better herself and better her opportunities of like leaving value here on this earth. Like, she's been buried in debt that to her sometimes feels like it's impossible to get out of. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that they want to do good for the world. They want to go out and achieve something great. So they go and they get all this debt to try and go make an impact without even realizing what they just put themselves in. And I don't know if you know this. This might be above your understanding, but college debt is one of the only debts, if not the only debt, that you can't claim bankruptcy on. So let's say I decide to get a college loan. And I'm like, great, I just got $100,000 and I'm going to go get my degree. And let's say I'm 25 years old, everything falls apart. I lose my car, lose my house, and I got to restart. And I got $100,000 in debt I got to pay. If I want to go restart and declare bankruptcy and have a fresh start, my house, my car, all that stuff can go wiped to zero, and I can restart, accept my college debt. That's stuck with me for life. And I feel like a lot of kids make this mistake of buying into this idea of being able to provide value back, and they end up just shooting themselves in the foot. So yeah, when it comes to how you're going to pay your debt back, if you're in a position of being in debt, I think your number one bet would be, I don't know, go follow that Dave Ramsey dude who knows how to help people get out of debt and start learning how to live off of less than you earn and get on a savings and payoff plan. So yeah, that would be my bit of advice. Before you go get $100,000 in debt, realize what you're getting into.
Someone just commented one of their worries about just going to school, high school, college was knowing who's in the classes, which we talked about that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And I can agree. I said I didn't care about who was in my classes, but in some ways I was kind of worried about, is this person going to be in my class? Is this person going to be in my class?
Mm-hmm.
But then the vast majority, I was like, didn't really care who's in my class. But yeah, I think it's important to have our friends in our classes, or have at least a friend in our first period to start our day off right, to keep rolling on.
Dude, yeah, if I think back on all my most memorable classes in high school, like the ones that I enjoyed, the ones that I did good in, I always had somebody next to me that I was friends with. Yeah. Always. And let's see. So we talked about debt. That's a huge one. How am I ever going to have a life again? Dude, high schoolers even face this. Like, once your workload gets heavy, like, dude, you just even said it to me 10 minutes ago. We're trying to get the podcast ready. We're trying to get everything going. And you're just like, man, I didn't do this. Too much schoolwork. Didn't do this. Too much this. And it's like, people have this fear of, how am I ever going to get my life back? Am I ever going to have a chance to go enjoy myself? And from my perspective, just my years of being in high school, yes, you will have your life back again. And the amazing thing about being put through these times of being stretched thin, like you being at this point right now, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like you don't have much energy left, these are the moments that make you stronger. These are the moments that give you confidence within yourself to go, dude, if I made it through all of that, like, I definitely can handle this next chapter in my life. So if you're at a point right now of being in college, you feel like your workload's too heavy, you feel like you have no time for your friends, no time for your family, I want you to understand that you are going to make it out of this. Wherever you're at right now, whatever your fear is, I want you to have peace, and I want you to know that tomorrow's going to come. This all shall pass. And by the time you make it out of this, you'll be 10 times stronger on the other end.
Yeah, and on that note, like, after we finish this, I have a brief period in between finishing this, and then I have to go photograph a football game, and then I have to come back home after the football game, so 10, 11 o'clock, after we edit all the pictures at school, and I have to finish my online history course for the week, which is just, it's going to be, and then tomorrow morning we leave on a trip. So I'm going to be up till 12:30 a.m. and then we leave in a few hours after that. So yeah, it's totally overwhelming.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. And dude, I remember being in your position, having those nights of just being stretched thin. And yeah, it just makes you that much stronger and gives you that much more confidence within yourself. Because when you wake up tomorrow morning to leave for the trip, you're going to be able to go, man, yesterday sucked. I got a lot of work done though, and I'm going to be able to enjoy myself today. So no, that's good. That's good. Let's see. Like they got another one right here where it says, is my degree is my degree going to take longer than I expect? Sadly, possibly, most likely it will.
Oh, great.
I think to be honest, it all lands on your shoulders. Like this idea of like, oh, will this ever get done in time? Will this ever work out? It's like, it will if you will. Like if you're willing to put in the hard work, if you're willing to get a little bit less sleep, I'm pretty sure you can get it done. And as long as you're willing to get it done. Will employers even take my degree seriously? I really think it depends on where you go apply. That's probably it. And then let's take a gander here. We're on to the week before or the weekend before going back. I didn't have much to add on this except just squeezing the last drop of fun out of summer. Is it really worth it? If you're in high school and you're in college, it's probably not worth it to party your face off the last 48 hours before you go back just to try and squeeze that last drop. I don't know. That's just my wise word of advice. If it's the last weekend and you're trying to have fun, you probably need to plan on having fun a little bit better if you had to wait till the last 2 days.
Yeah, my last 2 days comprised of Saturday, I think we went shopping for clothes, and then Sunday, I think we went shopping for school supplies, and then woke up Monday morning and went to school.
Nice.
So, I mean,
that's a good weekend. That's a good weekend.
Well, not really.
Okay, now we have arrived to the first day or two back to school. My number one memory of the first day at Vista Marietta High School, freshman year, was being late to every single class, walking into ones that I clearly didn't belong in, and getting the stare downs from everybody like, you really don't know where you belong. So, I mean, that's, I think, the first memory I have of freshman year, was having no idea where I was and being overwhelmed with fear looking at everybody around me, how big they were.
Yeah.
Because I went from being the biggest kid in elementary and middle school to being like the tiniest kid in high school, and it never changed. So yeah, that's my that was my first day of freshman year at Vista, was absolute fear and terror.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, my friend? What would you consider your first day's memory last year? What was your first day of school like, freshman year?
So you just to touch on the topic of like showing up in the wrong classrooms, it doesn't change sophomore year.
It doesn't.
So I'm walking from first to second period, and my second period and my fourth period are in the relatively same place. So I walk from first to my fourth period, and I sit down. And my teacher looks at me, and she's like, "You're not in my AP Stats class. You're in my Algebra 2 class." And I'm like, oh, "Dude, it's
so
only
what day
second
is this?"
period." Yeah, so I think I got caught up in trying to memorize my routine, and like, because I knew my routine, but I thought I knew it by heart, and I knew where I was supposed to be, and I just didn't know it.
It's like you flipped the autopilot switch on just a little too soon.
Exactly.
All right.
But yeah, freshman, I had one friend at the first day.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't too worried, except we didn't have any classes together. So I was trying to find my I found my classes before like first period, so I knew where every single one of my classes were. But I went from this side of the campus to that side to this side to that side, and I just kept walking back and forth. So that was a crazy day, the first day of freshman year.
Yeah, that sounds a bit stressful. So on our notes right here, did we have obviously finding your classes, catching up with friends? That's obviously an important thing to do. It takes a little bit of time during break and lunch to really figure out what your friends did throughout the summer. Not to mention figuring out who your teachers are. But this point that we dove into right here is what I really want to hit on right now, because it's your first couple of weeks back. I mean, you just hit the end of week 2, and I guarantee that this is still probably a struggle for you, even with us working on this together. So the point we have is staying focused and staying engaged and not getting bored. And I want you to do us a favor, read us off this first statistic, and let's get going on these insane numbers that we have here.
Okay, so 25% of students indicate that they are bored because of lack of communication and involvement with the teacher, which I can totally agree with that. Like my chemistry teacher spends 30 minutes out of the 45-minute period figuring out how his computer works because he can't find a slide or something on his PowerPoint. It's just bad.
So 25% of students indicate that they're bored because of lack of communication and involvement. Okay, with the teacher.
Yeah.
Thinking back on my first couple days of school, freshman, sophomore, all those years, it seems like the first day, obviously the teacher's trying to be connected. Here's my syllabus. Here's this and here's that.
And the second day, And
then the second day, they get into the swing of things. Don't get me wrong. I had some phenomenal teachers. I had some of the best teachers I could have ever asked or imagined. But there were those few.
Yep.
That, yeah, dude, catch me outside, son. Catch me outside. So it's like, so thinking about that says a quarter of students are indicating that they don't have that connection with the teacher. Now, before we go on to our next statistic, I hope that we can, during our podcast, I want to be a podcast that provides solutions for people, not just point out problems. So when it comes to the fact that a quarter of kids are lacking that involvement with their teacher, how can we as students make a stronger relationship with our teacher on our end?
Personally, I try to be as nice to my teacher as possible, just not to get on their bad side.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not stuck in the bad side zone the entire year. I don't know, at least with my some of my elective teachers,
mm-hmm.
they're more connected just because it's a more fun class. It's a better class.
Okay.
But with the math teachers, some of them, even at the beginning, go into tutoring, because the teacher will connect with you there and know your strengths and your weaknesses, and they'll try to help you more.
Mm-hmm.
That's at least for math. I've done that a few times. Other than that, I don't just talk to your teacher, try to pass out papers, ask them if they ever need help, and
mm-hmm.
they'll try to connect with you more. I've found.
Okay. From my perspective, obviously, like I said, I don't go to college, but what I would do to build that relationship on a college side. So if it was my first day at a campus, and my way of being proactive in that relationship is day one, I'm going to go up to them and I'm going to introduce myself, and I want to share with them what my goal is for the class and for the future, just to build that relationship. So it's like, hey, so-and-so, professor, hey, professor, front of the class, how are you? I'm so-and-so. My goal for your class is to do this and to accomplish this. And it's like, if you can just start off with just a simple introduction, and as time goes on, get to know who they are and build an actual relationship. Don't just build a student-teacher relationship.
Yep.
Build an actual friendship, because you're an adult, and they're a professor. It doesn't mean that they're not a human being. They have interests. They have things that frustrate them, that make them happy. And I think if you can treat them as a human being, you have a much greater chance of her.
Yeah.
Statistic number 2, we got 75%. So 3/4 report that material being taught is not interesting.
I can totally agree. That's 100%.
Okay, so obviously, dude, I haven't been in school for 6 years, and I could say without a shadow of a doubt that 90% of it I do not remember.
Yeah.
But the one skill that I do remember is actively trying to learn. And I think that if we wrote down here that obviously you can't change the material that you're being taught, you don't have that option. But the option you do have is changing the way you perceive the material being taught. So what I mean by that is, if you're being taught pointless math that you're not even going to remember 6 months or 8 months down the line, don't see it as, oh, I have to learn how to find X in this solution. It's like, no, I need to figure out how to solve this problem that's in front of me. If I can learn how to solve this problem, then maybe if I get another problem in a different area of my life, I'll learn how to solve that. I think it's just that act of problem solving that we need to work on as individuals. So
Yeah.
no matter what the problem is, finding a solution is what we need to be focused
and
on.
I think that's something that the mindset of students is not focused on. I think a lot of students focus, not excluding myself, focus on that we think that just school is a competition to get a grade. It's because you have valedictorian, salutatorian, which is just awarding these students, but it's more of a competition. We think it's more of a competition to get the grade than it is to learn. So we think we're learning. We're not. Well, we think it's more based on learning up until the test, and then we forget all the information. When we should be focused on, we need to learn these learning skills, these listening skills, these communication skills, all that. But we're more focused on, I just need to get this A in the class. I need to get this B in the class.
And I think that's just a lack of long-term thinking. It's not even lack of long-term thinking. It's the fact that we don't teach these kids.
Yeah.
Hey, it doesn't matter what we're teaching you. Most of this material is pointless. It's the fact that you need to learn how to listen. You need to learn how to actually learn, because learning is a skill, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
There's multiple facets involved in actually understanding something. So I think that is a huge, huge thing. And then obviously the next statistic says fewer than 2% of students report that they're never bored. Obviously, I guarantee it's probably 100% of kids report being bored at least at one moment. That's probably what it should say. But that doesn't surprise any of us. I know that, we all obviously understand that. So, what do we got? We're out of order on our papers?
Yep.
Oh, gotcha. All right. So, let's see. Common mistakes that people make the first couple of days. Okay, that's a good one. We don't even have any answers for it, but that's a good question to ask. What do you think some common mistakes are that people make the first couple days?
Just like getting on the bad side. Like you might be in a bad mood because it's the beginning of the year. You might be in a bad mood or just angry because you had to wake up early. Getting on the bad side of the teacher, like making the teacher not like you. I know I have my chemistry teacher, I'm bringing him up again. He has a Jamaican accent. And so there's a handful of kids in the class who will make fun of that accent. And I'm just sitting here, he's listening to them. I'm sitting here thinking, well, how does he see me? Because I'm in this class with these kids. How does he see me? How does he perceive me being in the same class as these kids who are making fun of his accent? Yeah. So, I mean, getting on the bad side of your teacher, I worry a lot about what my teacher thinks of me. So just getting on the bad side of your teacher is a big mistake that I think people make that they don't realize they make.
For me, I think common mistakes that people make is just not showing up.
Yep.
Like I am not proud of it, but I remember I think my freshman year I had like 70-something absences. Like I made it a goal to miss at least a day a week. Like I hated going to school mostly just because I wasn't taught how to learn, and I just didn't enjoy it very much. But I think not showing up is a huge mistake, especially at the beginning, because missing just one day can throw you back so far, especially if you're not good at catching on. So common mistake, not showing up, getting on the wrong side of the teachers.
Here's one: not paying attention and talking to your friends too much in class.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Doing other homework in class or doing other classwork in class for a different class while everybody in the class is taking notes on the teacher's PowerPoint, and you're doing math homework in chemistry class, or you're doing math homework in English, or
okay. So I have a question. So most people would hear that and go, man, that's actually really smart of you to be working on other work and basically killing time. Like you're basically being productive, but you're
also missing stuff.
Yes, you're also missing stuff. And even let's say it was I'm trying to imagine, I'm trying to get bigger picture to like implement life skills. So if you are being taught something by somebody, let's say you don't find it interesting, so you decide to start working on something else. Not only are you missing potential good information, but you're showing a overwhelming amount of disrespect to the person that's teaching you. And if you develop that as something that is just easy for you to do, if you carry that into the outside world where somebody's trying to inform you about something that could benefit you, and instead you're pulling your phone out, working on whatever you want to work on. I mean, it's little actions like that if not checked could really affect your character long term.
Oh yeah.
All right. So that was a good little thing to point out. So now that we are closing in on that first couple of days, first week, let's sum up the first week. So big point number one for the sum of the first week is staying out of trouble. We talked about obviously not getting on your teacher's bad side, but I remember, I think it was freshman year or sophomore year, like the first week of school, the physical ed teacher or PE teacher was like, all right, we're just going to go walk for fitness today. Bro, it was walking for fitness, and I decided I wasn't even going to do that. I was going to stand and talk to my friends for fitness. And I got sent to detention with like 3 or 4 of my friends, and it was like the first week of school. And I remember just a couple staff, like faculty members that saw me in that like detention area. The entire rest of the year, they remembered me from that first week, and yet I didn't do anything else the rest of the year to earn that. But it's like those little acts of, dude, even if you're just trying to be funny or trying to just like show off, it can bite you in the butt long term. And not to mention some of those like adults at the school could be potential people that could give you a job like in the future. There's been numerous people from my high school, whether it's staff members or just substitute teachers, whatever it is, that I've like seen out in the workplace. And yeah, it's definitely smart. Stay out of trouble. Choosing the right group. What do you have to say on choosing the right group of friends? What's your insight on that?
So dude, I don't even know. I don't have a group of friends. I'm like, I don't know. I jump around from multiple groups, and most of my friends, they're either, I have like 1 or 2 freshman friends, 1 or 2 junior friends, and I have 3 or 4 sophomore friends. So it's, I mean, like obviously it's grown from 4 friends to like 8, but I don't necessarily have one group of friends. I think, choosing the right group is a big point, especially today's age where kids are like, of course, kids, when you were going to high school, are selling drugs, drinking alcohol on campus. But I don't know if we're getting a lot more creative as much as it's just easier to do nowadays. They're not as strict. I mean, we might have the drug dog on campus once or twice a semester.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember they used to have one on campus all the time when I was there. I just like, when it comes to choosing your group of friends, most people don't realize that you are the average of the 5 people you spend your most time with. Like if I was like, Tyler, let me grab the 5 people you hang around most. I'm going to listen to the way that they talk. I'm going to look at the goals set in their life. I'm going to see how they live their life. And I guarantee you probably reflect 90% of that. If you took the 5 people I hang out with most and you grabbed their 5 bank accounts and looked at them, it's probably going to look exactly like mine. You average by the people you spend time with most. And if sad to say, if I still hung around a group of friends I did in high school, I would not be anything compared to the person I am today. You have to choose the right group of people, the right influencers to send yourself in the right direction. So if you look at the 5 friends closest around you and you can give a good estimate of where their life is going, that's probably where yours is headed. So if you want to have a different destination, you're going to have to choose a different group to travel with. So that would be my word of advice for choosing the right group. You want to make sure that they're all headed in the same direction. And then we got on here, finding your comfort zone. So like we said earlier about flipping on that autopilot switch a little too soon, I think when you finally find your comfort zone, like know where all your classes are, you've got your schedule on point, you know when, like what days you're working on, A homework, B homework, all that good stuff. I think once you find that comfort zone, from that point on, you can kind of venture out and add some more stuff on. Because you're right now trying to find your comfort zone with podcast, homework, sports, all that stuff. Like, do you have anything to add when it comes to your comfort zone and how you're figuring it all out?
I don't know. I find my comfort zone. I'm not like I said, I'm not comfortable in big environments with a lot of people. My mom thinks that my best friend Shay she's good for my comfort zone, expanding my comfort zone, because she, like, last Friday I went to the football game and I didn't like it, but I was there and I wouldn't normally go and stand in the middle of all the students. I mean, I've met at least 2 or 3 people through Shay. So I mean, I can see my comfort zone expanding. I see myself finding my comfort zone. There are still environments where I don't know my comfort zone, like at church. I am the most, I don't know how to put this. I dance during worship. I'm like full on energized kind of kid. At school, I don't want anybody to talk to me. I'd head down during lunch. I could care less about being enthusiastic at school. So I obviously, one of those is a mask. I don't know which one is.
I'm pretty sure you know.
School.
Yeah, because I mean, imagine. I mean, I don't even know if you know the answer to this, nor do I, but what would it take for you to feel the way you feel at school, the way you feel at church? Or do you even think that that's a possibility for you?
I don't, because I look forward, like this week, I don't get to go to church this weekend because we're out of town. And I'm really disappointed because church is my happy place. I look forward to Sundays. I look forward to Tuesdays. I absolutely love my youth group. I love the people in my youth group, my coaches, everything. It's just something for me to look forward to. And that it wasn't always like that. 6th grade, here's a good example. 5th grade at Sea Kids at Cornerstone, I didn't like Sea Kids at all. So I was going to the adult sermon. And I found church, even though I was the one who brought my parents to church, I found church to be a drag, like Tyler Moore used to put it, like fingernails in the concrete as they dragged me by my feet to church. But now I'm the one running at the door in the car while they're still like getting out of bed.
You're just like, come on.
Yeah. I find myself to be really excited for church the next day.
So I guess it's like a battle that we would have to try and uncover. Like, how do you get to that point of being that free everywhere? Because obviously you've experienced now when you're at church, that's where you get to be you. Yeah. There's no walls up. There's no insecurities up. There's no fear. It's just, hey, I'm Tyler. I actually love people when I'm here. Yeah. But if you catch me outside of church, I really don't like people. And it's like, I wonder what would it take to help you experience that freedom everywhere? Like, do you know what like made that switch? Like when the switch happened, what made it go? Because I guarantee that there's people watching this or listening that's like, I wish I had that. Like, I want that. I want to know what area of my life, where can I feel like that? Because
so I definitely noticed a huge change after I started the Activate the Word thing. And freshman year in high school, I was kind of like the secluded kid in the corner. I knew people, but I wasn't too excited about being there because I didn't know any of the coaches and stuff. And then I started to get to know some of the coaches. I started knowing some of the upperclassmen and just the people around me. And I found myself being okay with being there. And then a huge change after I started to Activate the Word. And I found myself excited to go to church. And I didn't start going to Tuesday nights until 2 or 3 Tuesday nights ago. But Tuesday nights is something I look forward to. And it's just something, it's part of my week now. Even if I have homework, I find places to get it done. I find ways to get it done because I need to be there.
Okay. So once you started Activate the Word, it's almost like it's like you had that self-confidence. Like you knew, I'm working on something that's mine. Like I'm doing something that like makes me feel like, because that's all it seems like it is. It's a overwhelming sense of self-confidence at church because you're in your environment. You're like, this is my passion involves this. This is how I give back to the world. This is who I am. And I feel like if people just even knew what that felt like, it would give them that much more of a pull to do what God's calling them to do. Because like on Monday, I had one of my friends over at my house for just a Bible study. It's typically like 3 or 4 of us, but on Monday night it was just me and him. And before he had gotten there, I found out just some horrible news. You remember what happened on Monday when we were working together, the news I found out about, horrible stuff. So I was so angry, upset, frustrated, pissed off. I was livid. And when he got there and we started diving into the word and talking about God and really trying to just get our eyes off of our problems, all of a sudden I got into preacher mode. And for like an hour and a half, I'm ministering to him, giving him advice on what I would do in his situation. And by the time he left, you could see like 1,000 pounds of weight was off of his shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like he got his answer from God. And it was after in the middle and then like right after that where I was on a high. It's like you feel like when you're at church, like you're in that zone of being at peace with every area of your life. And I just wish people could know what that experience is like, because it's like you're living in your gift when you're there. I'm living in my gift when I'm ministering and teaching and leading. And yeah, like you said, how just this last week, just from last week's podcast, I've had somebody reach out and let me know that they're going to start their own YouTube channel. They're going to start basically sharing what motivates them, what inspires them. And it's just like I don't even know it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's like addictive. Once you get a taste of that freedom, it's completely and utterly addictive. And
yeah. So when I'm at church, it's to the point where like if I'm tired from the night before from homework on like Monday night, if I was staying up late, and I'm like not as enthusiastic in dancing and stuff, it's to the point where like people are asking, is something wrong? What happened? That kind of thing. And it's like nothing happened. I'm just tired.
Right. All right. So I think that is really huge. So for those of you listening, I would hope and pray that you would just search within yourself and look back at your life and see if there's ever been a moment of just pure ecstasy and peace and freedom, and look back at doing in that moment and just go do it again and try and find where God is calling you to experience that freedom. Cool. So some of the first week, another area. So after we talked about building relationship with teachers, we touched on that. So setting pace for the rest of the year. So by the end of the first week, this was a really cool analogy. So we use this little analogy of laying concrete. So like the first month of a new year, it's literally like you're laying the foundation, and you only have a limited amount of time before that concrete sets. So those actions of your first couple weeks is going to set you in stone for the rest of the year. So right here we have where it says if the foundation is weak, it's going to be hard to grow on it. And we got a couple different statistics. So let's see. Read us off number 1 and we'll go see where God's leading us.
Okay, so 20% of students consider dropping out of school because of the following reasons. A, 73% didn't like school.
Okay, so obviously if you don't like it, change your perspective on it. And if you're in high school, you can't change it. If you really hate it that much, study for your GED and bail out early like my little brother did at 15. Dude, my little brother at 15 years old graduated with his GED. He was that smart. Mind-blowing. 61% said, I don't like the teachers. We've hit on that. If you don't like your teachers, build the relationship with them. If you don't like them, figure out why, and then go fix that relationship. If that's a huge deterrent for you succeeding, just go work on that relationship.
Yeah, and we're gonna touch on that too.
Yeah. So 60% say that they find no value in the work that they're doing. We already touched on that. Yep. It's about building the skills and building that mindset to where it doesn't matter what you're learning. It's the attitude of learning and how you approach that. And then 25% said nobody cares about me. Well, guess what? I care. He cares. That's why we're here doing this for you. And if you really truly feel like nobody cares about you within your group of classmates or your teacher, we're going to touch on that where it talks about going to your school counselor. That's if you're at a point where you feel like nobody cares about you, that's why they're there. We're going to touch on that though at the end of this little next topic. So the end of the first month, since we talked about that, everything's obviously getting solid. So what do we have down right here? Your friend groups are solid at this point by the end of your first month. So since we're about 2 weeks in, if right now your relationships seem a little rocky, I'd bail out now and find some new friends before things get crazy.
So on that topic, there's something that our youth group is doing, and it's hashtag bye Felicia.
Hashtag bye Felicia?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is priceless.
And it's so what it is, it's you find the negative influences in your life and you're challenged to remove one of them and see how your life responds, how your life changes without that influence in it. It's just something that I thought this was.
No, that's perfect. So yeah, if your friends are like, if you're at right now 2 weeks in and you're already seeing that your friends are obviously increasing your ability to slide back. If they're like, hey bro, homework ain't important, let's go hang out.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, bye Felicia. I'll see you later. I'm gonna go do my stuff and get things going. So yeah, momentum is built by the end of these first couple weeks or the end of the first month. We have obviously a couple tips and tricks on how to stand a horrible teacher. So go on that, Tyler. Give us a little bit of wisdom on this.
So like I touched on earlier, don't make your teacher your enemy, because that's going to totally affect the rest of the year. You can't retake a first impression.
Whoo! Write that down, people. You can't retake a first impression.
There's no redos for that.
There's no redos. Man, that was good. All right, that's one of those like asterisk marks. Put that in the little show notes. Like you don't get a read. All right, so continue on.
So if you already have an enemy, if your teacher's already become your enemy because of stupid decisions like your first impression, your options are, or advice is, to humbly apologize and take full ownership. If they just hate students, just be careful, because some teachers do.
Some people do, but dude, like I said earlier, everybody's a human being, and if there's really that teacher that like hates everybody, bro, it means that they've been hurt by everybody. And if you can be that person that breaks down that barrier that they have built up, then you probably might be one of the first students that actually like make a good impact. I don't know who I was talking with the other day, but they were saying like that this person treats them the same way over and over and over again. And I was telling them, if you were in that person's position, you would treat yourself the exact same way. Like you can't judge the way that somebody acts or the decisions that they make because you have not lived their life. If you lived their life, you'd be making the same decisions that they're making. You can't judge somebody else based off of what they're doing. Now, let's see. So now that the concrete has almost set and the first month is almost over, what does it say? 75% of students say they want to go to college. Do your grades and your choices actually reflect it? Okay, so basically, I wrote that in just to challenge you right now. So my question for you, trying to look at all these cameras right now, if you are deciding that you want to go to college, if you have a goal in mind or a career that you are going to go work towards, and if you have not yet started acting like it, you're probably best to start doing it right now. Because, yeah, your decisions clearly reflect where you want to go. And if you're all talk and no action, get used to having no results. Bada bing, bada boom. Now that we have kind of dove into these first couple days, weeks, months, all that good stuff, we got some tips and tricks that we found in the process. Because we studied for this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we tried. We tried.
Yeah. Studied for the A and got a D.
Studied for the A, got a D. Just another little asterisk. Put that in the show notes. Studied for an A and I got a D. All right. So tips and tricks we found. If you are trying to learn, what does this guy say? Oh, this was something that you pointed out. I like this. Why don't you let these people know your great word of advice?
So if the teacher is making you confused on a certain subject, or you're not getting the subject, you're not understanding the subject that they're trying to teach, don't go to your textbook, because that's mainly for information. It's not something that's retained easily. The information there isn't retained easily just because you're reading over it. And I find myself doing this all the time, reading, and I'm like, have to go back and reread the page because I was thinking about something else the entire time.
Yep.
So it's difficult to retain the information in the textbook, as easy as it may seem, because it lays it out. It's just so boring, as the way they put it. So ask for help, and the teacher may or may not have a specific way that they want you to learn the information, or they have another way that you could interpret it better, you can understand it better. I find myself doing this. What was the example I just thought of? Man, that just popped out of my head.
Dude, it likes to do that. I mean, like, for example, I think we were talking about this when we were planning on Monday. It's like your teacher could potentially create almost like a new path to get to the destination you're trying to go. If the answer is right here, and here's your typical way of getting there, your teacher might take you around the bend and teach you a little like extra step or two to get the process done better.
It might be more work, but it
might be a little bit more work, or a story to help tie it in. But yeah, if you are finding yourself not understanding something, your best bet would be to go run to the teacher and ask for a further explanation. Versus going to the textbook and confusing yourself. And not to mention going to your teacher and asking for that extra help. It's another way to build that relationship and build that trust. So second thing is track your progress.
It's a big one.
Dude, this is unbelievably huge. I'm dead serious. If you want to be motivated, if you want to find inspiration within yourself, just measure your own progress. If you can keep a journal or keep notes in your phone, however you like to keep track of your own progress, if you can measure out ways of achieving something, it's going to be a motivator. So like, for example, let's say you have written down every day that your goal is to have all your homework done by 5. And let's say it's you got all your homework done by 4:50 or whatever it may be. Measuring off that you got it done sooner than expected is a way to measure that growth. Or even if you don't want to get that analytical with it, and if it's just like a to-do list, and it's like, get your homework done, do your chores, and watch whatever episode on Netflix. Just checking those off, just literally checking them off, is motivation in and of itself. So I would highly recommend finding a way to track your progress. Like, a best way, or another way to even tie it in, is like, think of playing video games. Every time you hit that new level, or that you finish that mission you were trying to complete, those little hits of accomplishment are what makes you want to continue to put more time, more energy, more effort. So it's tracking your progress is a huge motivator.
I wish I had brought it over here, but our school at the beginning of the year, first week, gives us a planner for our classes, first period, second period, third period, and they lay it out by day. And that's where you write your homework down. And I find this thing to be important because I can't remember any of my homework by heart or by just memory. So I write these things down, and as I go through, I highlight them off. And at the end of the day, I'm looking at it, and I have 4 assignments, and I have highlighted 3 of them out, and I have 1 left, and it's the biggest one. But I've already completed 3 of them, which those combined is 2 or 3 times the workload of this other one. So I can see that I already completed this big portion. All I have to complete is a small portion compared to that.
So it's that actual process of highlighting the completed ones. It's almost like you're telling your brain, you're tricking it into going, look at how much we've already done. This is all that's left. Versus somebody that doesn't write their stuff down and keep track of it. It's like, even if they had those 3 done, just the fact that they don't have that visual representation to show them how easy that last one is, they can trick themselves in their head and go, but that last one, it's so big, and they can just like rewrite an entire different picture in their head. I like the way that you put that. It's that visual representation that gives you that extra push to get it done. I like it.
And just to touch on the writing the homework topic down, super important, because like I said, I can't remember it. And if I wasn't remembering it, I would miss 2 or 3 assignments a day, because I would go into class and they would collect homework, and I'd be like,
what?
There was homework. Okay.
Nice. There's a gentleman, I think it's Tony Robbins or Jim Rohn. One of them says, never trust your mind. Never trust your mind. Always write it down. So I thought this was pretty funny. Tyler found a nice little pros and cons list online, and this is really funny. So we're just going to hit it real quick. So the pros of going back to school and being in a routine. Number one, you're up early. You got more time to kill the day. Homework, it teaches you discipline, helps you achieve goals, and it helps you just, work on being an adult. People, you get to hang around more people. You get to have more friends. You get to have more social interaction, which is good for you. Not to mention, you get free lunch every day at school. Maybe not free. Your parents pay for it either way. Now, the cons. The con to this list is waking up early. Waking up early sucks. Homework, now you don't have free time. People suck. And lunch, food sucks. Thought that was really funny. Just a little one to throw in there really quick. It was like all the pros are the cons, and the cons are the pros. All that matters is the way you see your problems.
The way you interpret it.
So that's why I love it. Even though it's a little funny thing to look at, it's really interesting because no matter how, it's all a matter of perspective. If you can change the way you see your problems, you'll change the way they won't even become problems anymore.
Yep.
Now, what's the next one we got going right here? Ooh, planning the night before. Do you do this? Do you get like your clothes ready the night before, get your bag ready, all that stuff?
No.
Really? Bro, I'm not even in school, and I do that for my own job. I grab my backpack. I make sure my headphones are in there. I get everything ready to go. I'll get my coffee cup ready for the morning. Like, I have my morning ready to go for when I wake up. It's like I wake up, all I got to do is just press power on the coffee, press this, and I'm done.
I go to sleep, and my homework's all spread out over the table. My clothes are still in my room, and I don't have them laid out or anything. They're just like hanging up in my closet, and I just go through the next morning, and I'm like, well, this doesn't stink. Puts it on.
So
it's just.
Do you ever plan your morning out the night before?
Last night I did.
So last night you did.
Yeah, because today I told you it was 80s Spirit Day, so we had to dress up like we were from the 80s. So last night, my dad, he got way too into this. Way too into this. And so we're like going through his closet, and he's like, you need to wear this sweater, and I'll show you how to peg your pants. And I'm like, I don't know half the things you're talking about.
Oh, that's pretty funny. All right, so today you did. So I'm just going to, out of my own personal sanity, whenever I don't do that, because I've made it a routine for I don't know how long. I love having the next morning ready to go. Like if I can wake up and look at the foot of my bed and see my shorts and my shirt and my socks, everything all perfect, like it just makes me feel so much more at peace. And like the mornings I don't do that are so much more stressful. Like even if I'm not complaining about it out loud, like internally, it's almost like the wiring in my brain is like lagging. It's not as smooth and as easy as it typically would be. Because this morning, I was searching for my shirt and my hamper. Because it's funny, I'll plan out what I'm going to wear in my head while I'm going to bed. So it's almost like I'm already planning the plan when I haven't planned.
Yeah.
And it's like I woke up this morning, I'm like, I know what shirt I want to wear. Where is it? And I'm like panicking. And it's like, if I would have just planned, it would have been that much easier. So that's a huge tip that I really love, and it would help out maybe for you. Give it a shot. So let's see. Learning to talk to those around you about what is tormenting your mind, if anything. This is, I think, oh my gosh, this is probably one of the things that almost everybody doesn't do. Too many people keep their crap held in. Like if I don't communicate what's frustrating me or worrying me, I don't know what I'd do. I call my mom probably more than most adult men call their mom. I call my mom almost every day after work and vent to her about whatever it is that I'm going through. And if you don't have someone like that in your life, I think that's a huge issue. Like when you're struggling with bullying stuff or not even bullying stuff, if you're overwhelmed or worried, who do you talk to?
I don't even know. Usually I'll text Shay, but I feel like I go to Shay way too much than I should. On the ride home, usually it's just my mom and I in the car. And if something just happened during practice and I'm just upset, whoa, that was weird. I'll either A, not talk to her because I'm upset, and that's just how I deal with things sometimes, or I'll just like tell her about things, and then it ends up her playing devil's advocate, and then I get a little upset, and it doesn't end well. So I don't don't know if I have a person that I go to talk to. Even though as much as I would want to go to talk to my mom, it's difficult for me. Not like
What's difficult about it? Is it like embarrassing?
no, it's just I don't know because like being the teenage
Mm-hmm.
adolescent kind of the brains, the mindset, and everything. I feel like I don't even know how to put it. It's weird. When she, I do the
You're
words.
just having no, don't worry about it. Because I mean, if I'm trying to like when I was in high school, I told my mom more than like that's one thing I'm grateful for is my relationship with my mom is hilarious because almost all my other siblings hate how much I tell my mom. Like my older brother, I'm 24 years old and he still looks at me like, don't you dare tell mom that. Don't you dare. And it's like, I have no barrier. Like I will tell my mom stuff that, yeah, people would be like, how dare you tell your mom?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, if I don't tell my mom, I'm not going to have that strong relationship that I need from somebody. Yeah. And yeah, I just think that that's huge. If you can learn how to not, because dude, it's really embarrassing to tell. Like, I remember telling my mom stuff that was so hard for me to even say, but once I did, it just made that relationship that much easier. Like being able to tell her everything, like, yeah, it's just so much easier. So that's one thing that I would highly recommend for you, especially just even trying it more, just because I know that that's something you told me that your mom was even trying to do to like work on encouraging other parents to have those hard conversations with their kids. Because, dude, it's probably uncomfortable for parents to even do. Because it's like my mom has had conversations with me where I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is weird. I'm your son. Like, you're telling me about stuff I don't want to hear about. But at the same time, it's like once you go through that conversation, you're like, wow, this is what being a human is. Like, you have to be able to have these awkward, weird conversations in order for actual progress and change to happen. So I don't know. That's something I'd really highly encourage you to try because it's given me so much freedom within my own life.
I think most of me not talking to my mom is I know last time how it ended. It was just me mad, and she was just trying to help. And I think it's just like my mentality on things, which isn't a good thing, but like I try to talk to her about something and she tries to point out, oh, this may have been their point of view. And I'm like, you're supposed to be on my side. What are you doing? So it's nothing against her. It's just like my mentality and the adolescent brain and everything.
Well, especially when you tell your parents, when you tell anybody anything that has affected you personally, anytime they don't take your side automatically, you want to get defensive.
Yeah.
But doing what we're doing, trying to be these people that obviously have a podcast, share ideas, that's going to be something that we're going to have to do with each other constantly is try and just immediately combat your idea and play devil's advocate and try and see, are you just being selfish? Are you being self-absorbed? Do you want everything to be about you?
Yeah.
And yeah, especially when you have conversations with your parents, you want them, to take your side, to confirm that you're correct. And it's like most of the time, whether you like it or not, you're probably going to be wrong.
Yeah.
Because, dude, I'm wrong, being willing to be wrong, that I think is challenging for high schoolers.
Yeah. Dude, that's totally a challenge. I don't like when I'm wrong. Like a year ago, I was okay with being wrong. Now it's like I have to be right.
Yeah, because you're trying to stand firm on the ideas that you're developing. It's like you're trying to be a man now, and it's like if I learn this, it has to be right because I learned it. Yeah. And it's like, no, that's actually not how things work. Life is a continual realization of what you don't know. And that was a good one. I like that. Life is a continual realization of what you don't know. But yeah, so having that humble attitude when you communicate with your parents or when you communicate with people within your family, I think if you can have your family be a safe place for you to communicate, life would be a billion times better because people don't find their home to be a safe place to talk.
Yeah.
All right. Next little tip that we have. Oh, yeah. Continual to-do list, or obviously your little daily method of operation. We've hit on this numerous times where you talked about writing down your homework, keeping a routine. I don't think we need to dive in any deeper on that. Join a club, activity, or a group at school. I think I touched on this last week when it comes to PLUS, Peer Leaders Uniting Students. If it wasn't for that program, I would not be able to do what we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
It taught me everything about how to communicate, how to lead, all that good stuff. Especially the medical program I did in high school taught me so much about the human anatomy, all that good stuff. So, yeah, I would highly recommend join a club, get involved in an activity. Not only that, but you're going to build friends that have like-minded interests. Do you have any? Are you in a club or well? You're in your photography, right?
So
Yearbook.
it's I'm in advanced video production right now.
Oh, okay.
So it's an elective class, and so I have my friend group, and I met one of my better friends in that class at my video production class last year. I met one of my better friends in that class, and he's actually going to shoot the football game tonight too.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean volleyball. I didn't find too many friends on that team. In all honesty, I don't know. I didn't connect with those people on the team as I should have.
Why do you think that was?
I just think that a lot of us were so different. The entire freshman team last year, everybody was a football player except for me. So they all already knew each other, and I was like the odd one out.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it was, I don't know. It was weird.
All right. So what do we got right here? Oh, if you're gonna go to college, take AP classes. That's a good pointer. So obviously we're in the first 2 weeks right now. If you wanted to switch and go to AP, dude, I recommend it. I remember I chose. Well, I wish I would have stuck with it. I did AP psychology my senior year because I was like, I'm gonna go do something with college. But yeah, I never ended up doing it. But being able to get free credits right now before you go to college. Not only is it going to give you a head start, but you're going to start
save you money.
Yeah, it's going to save you money. It's going to give you a head start. And it's going to teach you to build that discipline now. Because having that extra workload and having all that extra weight on your shoulders might be a little uncomfortable, but it's going to teach you so much more about how to be just strong-willed, disciplined, motivated. I think, if you have the opportunity to take them, dude, even if you're not going to go to college, take them and just learn how to be disciplined. Like realistically, I mean, I wish I would have stuck with it.
Yeah, so I was in AP World. I signed up for it last year, and I didn't know about it. I forgot that I had signed up for it when they did come in class, get your book kind of thing during my freshman year, because they needed to write a 10-page essay over the summer and read the entire book. First of all, that's
intense right there. Nice.
And so I didn't know about that, but before that happened, before I even realized I was in AP World, I went and talked to my video production teacher, and he wanted me in his advanced class the next year. The problem was I only had one elective spot, but I needed to take Spanish this year in order to get my credits. So I had to open up a spot, which is why I had the online class that I need to finish tonight. I have online world history now. So I mean, the workload in AP is insane.
Yeah.
Just from second person point of view kind of thing. It seems insane, but totally it's free credits for college. You save money.
And it builds that work ethic.
Yep.
Yeah. Nice. I like this one. You threw this one. Don't put a significant other before your friends because they're probably not going to last. And if they don't last, you don't want to lose everybody.
Yeah.
I remember being in high school, dude, every time one of our friends would get a girlfriend in the group, they'd just be gone.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, yeah, he got a girlfriend? All right, we'll see him when they break up. But in the meantime, he doesn't exist anymore. And it's like that happens so often. And I'm trying to remember if there was any memorable ones where like somebody got a girlfriend, broke up with them, and they weren't back in the group. Like I'm trying to remember if that really happened. And I don't remember of anyone actually like being kicked out permanently, but dude, it just would drive like a weird wedge in between friends. Like even my best friend, Andrew, there were times where we'd get in relationships and we'd be like, bro, you really just never going to hang out anymore? Like you're just going to be that guy. And it would cause a lot of frustration, but eventually it all worked out. But I would recommend, especially in high school, like these are years that are super duper memorable. Like looking back on my high school years, I loved some of those memories, but I would have had, I feel as though like a lot more better ones if I'd actually like hung out with my friends instead of those random girlfriends that I had that, when I think back on, were completely pointless compared to the friendships and the memories I could have had. Well, not completely pointless. I don't want to degrade them and make it seem like it wasn't like memorable. It was good, but I could have had much more fun times, I think, with my friends. What do we got right here? Stay out of trouble with the law. That's just, of course, I had friends in high school that literally got in trouble with. Yeah, I had friends that got in trouble in high school that are still dealing with it almost 10 years later.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't be an idiot and have something stick with you that long. Because you could make a stupid decision, and it can actually carry with you to adulthood. Like, there's certain things that they'll keep on your record, I think. Don't quote me on that. Pretty sure, though. But either way, you don't want to get in trouble with the law. It's just not fun. And then, oh yeah, we've been talking about this the entire time when it comes to building professional relationships with your teachers. And what I mean by professional is professional. You have the ability to not become friends with them, but become actual, like, yeah, they could become your mentor. They could become that resource when you get out of high school.
Yeah, and you wrote something down that these professional relationships can last into your adulthood, and they can give you a step above everybody else.
Yes.
And you talked earlier about how your teachers could possibly be your future employers.
Mm-hmm.
So if they know that you have that professional relationship with them, and they're running a multi-million-dollar company now,
Mm-hmm.
they might hire you as like their second hand or something.
Exactly. I mean, I have friends from Murrieta Mesa, where I went to high school.
Yeah.
Some of my friends from high school teach at the high school now. Like, one of them's a basketball coach, the other one's a golf coach. And I'm like, that's crazy that my friends are actually now teachers at the school like 6 years later. So, yeah, you don't burn bridges by getting in trouble with the law. Build good relationships with your teachers, professional relationships, and then, yeah, just continue to cultivate those so that down the line there could be some fruit from that. We're closing in. We got a couple more points, but I told you earlier we'd get back to this, where it comes to that fact where it said like a quarter of students feel as though nobody cares about them. I think when it comes to, if you feel like you're alone, if you feel like you've got no support, nobody has your back, I know of one guaranteed person that's got your back, and that would be the school counselor. Not only did they go to school for it, but they're getting paid for it, and you might as well make their job worth it. Because thinking back, I remember, I think it was sophomore. Oh, no, it was senior year, where I was dealing with some really bad issues with one of my teachers. Like, I almost got into a fight with him in class because he told me that the only reason I won prom king is because everybody felt sorry for me. So that's why they voted for me. And I got so butthurt by that comment that I legit like threw a fit in class and started just back talking him. And we got into it. And I remember I was so pissed off. I walked out of the class, walked into the front office, and I sat outside of the principal's office, and I straight up, she walks by, and I'm like, never going to this teacher's class again, blah, 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 blah. And I was all upset. And she threw me into the counselor's office. And I think I spent like over an hour in there talking with them, and seeing how much she actually cared, because I'd been going there for years, never went in and talked to her, never went and got to know who she was.
Yeah.
But it's almost like you could tell how much she truly cared about my situation. And thinking back and remembering how she made me feel makes me want to really encourage those of you out there who do feel alone, who think that there's nobody that has your back. I'd go in there and at least see how they react, because you never know. They could end up being your greatest asset to coming out the other end successful. Ooh, we got a good one to leave them on. You want to read us off?
Okay, so find your gifts or talents and find your friends. If you are authentic to who you are, you'll find friends for a lifetime. If you conform to your friends, you'll find yourself hating who you are and becoming, because it is not who God called you to be.
I like it. So finding your gifts and finding your talents. So we talked on this last week, how each and every one of us, we have gifts, we have talents that God gave us specifically to make an impact in the world. And if you are not able to be who you are around your friends, if you're not able to be authentic with your teachers, with those who are around you, you're going to become miserable. I know that there are moments in my adulthood and even during high school where I tried to conform to people around me to make them think I was funnier or whatever it may be. And all it did was make me just miserable with who I was becoming. So Number one word of advice that I would like to leave everybody with this week is find your gift, find your talent, and make sure that your friends around you support it, believe in it, and do not make you conform to anybody else. And I think if you can find out what your strengths are, find out what your gifts are, work on cultivating those. And yeah, that could be a great start to a beginning of every new year, is if you just know who you are, build good relationships with your teachers, and just go from there. What else? Do you have any final parting words of advice, tips, tricks, anything you want to leave these people with before we come back next week to talk about bullying?
Not really. Not that I can think of. I will for sure next week, though.
I know. I'm trying to think of any final remarks. We talked about mindset. We talked about relationships with teachers, talked about relationships with friends. We talked about schedule. We talked about pretty much everything I can think about talking about for how to have a good start to a brand new year.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, in that case, how about I pray us out real quick? Give us a little prayer, and then we'll shut this sucker off.
Do that.
All right. Dear Heavenly Father, God, thank you so much for another amazing week of the Tyler and Kyler Show. I pray that for those of those who are watching and listening, I pray that you would just take whatever seed of knowledge or wisdom that they got laid on their hearts, and I pray you would cultivate it and groom it into an amazing, strong, vibrant tree of wisdom and knowledge so that they can go out and make an everlasting impact in the world that we live in. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Have a great week, people. We love you all. We'll see you next week for the Tyler and Kyler Show. We're going to be talking about bullying and how to overcome any of it. We love you all. We'll see you later. Where's the button to end this sucker?
Right there.
All right. Finish that. End the stream. End it.